the new community crunch has just dropped, and this one is a really, really exciting one with tons of new content. So this is going to be one of the first community crunches that they give actual substantial news about ARK Survival Ascended. This is also the first community crunch since ARK Survival Evolved is officially over. The official servers are officially down. We are on the road to ARK Survival Ascended. So in the community crunch, the first part is just wildcard reminiscing. As we stand on the horizon between the ending of an era and the dawn of a next, we'll take a moment to reflect on the extraordinary journey we've shared. Some might consider the upcoming transition a bittersweet occasion punctuated by a sense of loss and sadness. We feel otherwise. Unofficial ARK Survival Evolved is in great hands. Yours. And yes, because there will be no more official ARK Survival Evolved, and it doesn't sound like Wildcard will be doing anything at all with unofficial ASE. So it will just be those of us who will still be playing on the unofficial servers that will be keeping it alive. So first things first, Wildcard has come up with the dossier for the newest creature vote, the Shastasaurus. So this dino dossier looks absolutely amazing. The whale looks absolutely incredible. It looks like they managed to make the saddle just as we are hoping for. They do a little design of a submarine. So it looks like you're probably going to be able to breathe in there, possibly even build in there, which would be fantastic. They give rockets as well as a leash, which is interesting. And yeah, there's a couple little images of rockets shooting off, so it looks like it's going to be an underwater battle mount, which is very, very cool. Timeline Triassic, diet carnivore, and temperament curious. If it is curious, then I'm wondering if it's going to have a taming method similar to Ichthyosaurus, where they'll see you swimming in the water and they will come up to you. So in the wild, this odd variant of Shastasaurus seems as curious about humans as its direct relative, the Ichthyosaur. It sure got my attention when one of these sea monsters swam up to have a look at me. Luckily, its bulk turns out to be worse than its bite. Shastasaurus has weaponized the ultrasonic chirps it uses for echolocation. It can focus those sounds into a tight cone that disorients prey, or widens the effect to blast apart a school of fish in a concussive wave. So yeah, it does sound like it's going to be the underwater battle mount of ARK Survival Ascended. And domesticated. Taming a Shastasaurus was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. I brought along some Ichthyosaur pals to entertain their larger cousin while I scraped some of its itchy barnacles off with a sickle. From then on, I had a gigantic escort in deep water. Some tribes managed to kit out their finny friend with a periscope, torpedo bays, and even a cargo hold. Those Shastasauruses end up looking like something from the old kids cartoon with cavemen who turned dinos into cars and submarines. That is cool, guys. That sounds like another unique taming method. Wildcard has gotten so great with different taming methods in the last couple years. So yeah, it looks like we're going to have to all tame ourselves some dolphins. And torpedo bays and a cargo hold. So yeah, it looks like we will be able to build inside the saddle after all, which is going to be really, really cool. And then ARK Survival Ascended Q&A. So hopefully they're going to be giving us some information in this section. What is ASA? Most of us have been following for the last year, so we already know. When's it launching? The launch is around the corner. We'll reveal the launch trailer screenshots and set the game live at the end of October. By the end of October, I personally don't expect to see it until October 31st. That's usually how it ends up going. Where can you play it? You'll be able to play ARK Survival Ascended on Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and PC, Windows, and Steam. Not a surprise, we already knew that. Why are you doing it? Yeah, just mostly just to put out a new game on Unreal Engine 5. And as we already know, they need to generate revenue while they work on ARK 2. And ARK 2 is going to be quite the project and is going to take a long time. How are you leveraging the new technology? Another question could result in quite a mouthful of a response, so we'll try to keep it simple. Here's what will be coming with ASA. ARK's code has been rewritten and its artwork recreated by hand to take advantage of Unreal Engine 5, including its Lumen and Nanite systems. So it's going to be looking fantastic, hopefully great for screenshots. Advanced graphics such as dynamic water, which is fantastic. I know we've known about that before, but I'm really excited for it. Complete interactive physical foliage, and more systems create a beautiful, immersive, and next-generation experience. Cross-platform modding, we already knew about this as well. We're working with Overwolf to provide an industry-first cross-platform modding experience where mods created on PC are delivered directly to your consoles from a custom modding backend and in-game user mod browser. The modding capability for creators includes using full power of Unreal Engine 5, including Blueprint, to create anything, any kind of new content or gameplay within ARK. Full cross-platform multiplayer, which is going to be very, very cool. So Xbox and PlayStation friends will be able to play together. New content, quality of life improvements, balance, and gameplay changes, including but not limited to, over time, we'll be releasing 11 brand new creatures, all of the creatures in creature votes, plus I believe 3 more on top of that, that Wildcard will be choosing. So it'll be very exciting to see what they'll come up with for that. A new minimap system, pan, zoom, and pings, etc., which is fantastic. ARK's minimap is not the best right now, and pings especially will be fantastic. New structures, we were already aware of this. Some of the examples that they give us are display cases, smaller tech teleporters, building pieces, and major building system overhaul, which will be very, very cool and interesting to see how that'll work. I'm very excited to see what new taming traps are going to look like. New gameplay items, dynamic navigation mesh, and creature pathfinding overhaul. So AI pathfinding, which will be very, very cool. A lot of games already have this, so I'm glad that Wildcard is finally catching up. Total UI revamp, photo mode. I am excited for this. I love taking screenshots in ARK. I know a lot of people do, especially if ARK is going to be looking better than ever. It's going to be cool to see how great of screenshots we'll be able to take. New camera systems for players and dinos with the option to revert to the old systems. I'm glad we'll have the option to go back to the old style if we don't like it. And this is going to be what I'm very excited for. New player character assets with revamped and improved customization. ARK has been memed basically since it first came out about how terrible the characters can be. So I'm very, very excited to see to see some new customization and hopefully the characters to just look a little bit better. Gamepad virtual cursor UI input system. New Dino Manager system. View the real-time status and track locations of all your creatures at will through one unified menu, which is going to be fantastic. I think right now the only way you can track your creature after it's tamed is if you had a tracking nodule on it, which as we know does not work out the best, and much more. Okay, so is there going to be pre-order? I believe we already knew this before. Pre-order is not going to be a thing. As intended to set the game live immediately when it's ready to purchase, you cannot preload it. Tell us more about Crossplay. How will that work? So a 3-phase system for rolling out Crossplay. This is because it allows us to integrate more rapidly after launching a fresh title and makes managing our operations much less complicated, allowing us to deliver you a better experience. Also, we're waiting for updates on the engine plugin side to enhance the experience further. So basically, they don't have a whole lot of details on it. Yeah, it's probably we probably won't get details on it until basically right before the launch. So phase 1, launch, time frame October, which I personally believe will be the very end of October, at least the very last week, if not October 31st. Crossplay will be enabled for Xbox Series X, Windows PC, and PlayStation 5. Crossplay will not work for Steam PC at launch. So why, when we launch the game, we'll have a lot to patch because you're going to find things we missed or break the game in ways we never identified, and we prefer to be able to patch the Steam platform very quickly to resolve these issues. That's understandable. It's happened many times in the past, especially with meshing. Full crossplay. Timeframe December. In quotes, this is a wildcard ETA. That's funny. At least they're pretty self-aware. They have earned themselves a reputation for not always meeting deadlines. Crossplay is now enabled for all platforms, meaning Steam can play with Xbox and vice versa. At this point, we will be at a stage where the game can fully enable crossplay for all platforms. So we'll be merging the Steam PC network with the specific Xbox, PlayStation, and Windows network. So this means that we'll be aiming to patch all platforms simultaneously and keep them running on the same version. And it is at this point Steam users will be able to play on the same servers as their console friends directly, which is very, very exciting. This applies to both official and unofficial servers, but don't worry, we'll still have a separate official network online that is restricted just to Xbox and PlayStation users, without PC. I agree with that. It probably makes it a little bit more fair. You get a little bit more control with mouse and keyboard than you do with controller. Cross progression, timeframe 2024. No general timeline for that. What changes have been made to servers? So we've made a few changes to servers. First of all, we've increased the stasis replication range for structures significantly and dinos by about 70%. This means you'll be able to see them from further away before they de-render. Additionally, we'll be making use of instance rendering for all our structure tile set, meaning bases are going to run a lot better. So this is going to be a lot better. It sounds like ARK Survival Ascended is going to be way more playable at launch than arksurvivalevolved was. And then they just went on to mention that they're keeping the slot cap at 70 players. Understandable. The only time when that's ever really an issue is when a new map drops and everybody rushes onto the servers. What changes have been made for day one? Caves, rafts, cryopods, tech, giant squirrels. All right, so we're finally going to get our answer on cryopods. This is a hot topic, and we wanted to clarify our intentions, but we wouldn't be surprised if some things have slipped through the cracks. Generally, we intend to release content based on the map it launched with. It doesn't matter when it launched. For example, the rafts will be available on day one and the Rhiniothatha on the island. However, tech creature variants and cryopods will not be available. Interesting. That has been very debated on what their decision will be on cryopods. But I guess we won't be getting them, guys. We've done a pass on caves with some balance adjustments to choke points and improve the cave's internal appearance. We were hesitant to make dramatic changes to cave balance as, while the meta in ASE has flaws, we didn't feel a complete overhaul was wise. Between these changes and other adjustments through the game, we expect to see some shifts in the meta players create. We plan to monitor the impact of these moving parts in the hands of thousands of players and pivot as needed post-launch. Alright guys, so they're not changing cave building too much, but with no cryopods, living in caves is going to be much more difficult than it was before. So it's still going to be interesting to see how you PvPers adjust. And all of you PvPers watching this video, please give me your thoughts on this. I expected there to be a lot of changes in cave building. I personally am surprised. Let me know what you guys think. Honestly, there are a fair number of changes on the gameplay side. Overhaul building. We already knew about that. Disabled leveling of movement speed on creatures and players on official network. Unofficials can change this via the configurations, of course. That's interesting. I'm not really sure where that's coming from or why that was needed, especially on players. But yeah, I'm interested to see what you guys think of that as well. Small dino quality of lives. Breeding changes. This one sounds scary. We know our product and QA teams were freaking out about it, but generally our intention hasn't been to change the strength of creatures, but to make the implementation cleaner. Previously, mutations were based on a creature's wild stat multiplier, and now we've given it its multiplier. This has led to some creatures receiving some buffs/nerfs in particular stats, but we intended to rebalance this over time as we evaluate their roles in the meta. We have not fixed getting more than 20 mutations, but we removed the 255 cap so that servers can specify a cap. We'll leave it as is for our officials, but it's open to adjustments. This came as a big surprise to me. I didn't know that they were adjusting breeding. All of you pro breeders out there, let me know your thoughts. Whether or not you think this is going to be a big change. I'm curious to see what creatures it affects the most drastically. I'm imagining it's probably going to be the ones used for boss fights. But we'll see. And then they mention these examples don't cover everything you expect to see in the redesigned ASA. And then they kind of mention a little bit on the wild babies, which they didn't really say anything about them, but they just confirmed that they'll be there, which is very, very cool. And then here, character creation overhaul. My absolute favorite part. It was paramount to our art team that we overhaul the character creation system for ASA so that the characters looked less survival jank. As we successfully did that, but then we decided to say screw it and allow you to mess with all the bones and scalers anyway. So yeah, you can make something that feels nice and polished, or you could choose to make a character out of questionable proportions that looks like it belongs to arksurvivalevolved, but next gen. So that's fantastic. I mean, Ark's been memed for so long about its characters. But I'm glad that they're still letting you make the typical crazy looking art character. They're not deviating too much. DLSS, RTXDI, and FrameGen. We're working very closely with NVIDIA on all things. They're actually in our game code themselves, doing all the things. You can read more about these changes on their site. That is interesting. I think that this is going to be NVIDIA and Cell Art is very high quality screenshots, in-game screenshots. It's a fantastic tool. So if they're adding that directly to the game, that is so exciting, especially with the great looking ARK Survival Ascended. That's going to be fantastic. That is really good news. And then they just talked a little bit about Unreal Engine. And then here's the question everyone's been asking: gameplay when? You will 100% be able to see the game via a trailer/screenshots before you purchase the game in October. Not getting any more specific than that. Not surprising. I was really hoping for just even screenshots on this community crunch, but yeah, I'm not surprised. Hopefully the next one. What about cheaters? So they don't give any details, just that they're working with an anti-cheat software. This has been a hot topic lately, especially with some companies involved. And then ARK Survival of the Fittest 5.0. So they get a little bit into ARK Survival of the Fittest isn't going to be available at launch of ARK Survival Ascended. I'm not surprised. They've been putting so much work into ARK Survival Ascended. They probably just wouldn't have the time. They're trying to make the October deadline. So yeah, I think Survival of the Fittest was probably put a little bit more on the back burner. And then events and Extra Life. So as we know, the Extra Life event comes around that time of year every year. I'm glad to see that they're going to still be doing it. It's for a great cause after all. And they're going to be doing the Winter Wonderland event, which is great. I'm really glad to see that. And the plan on creature submissions. We might take a break because of voter fatigue is creeping in. Plus, once ASA ships, the meta might establish a need for different types of creatures, and we want to give you some time to think before the next vote. Which is understandable. I feel like we have been voting on creatures quite a bit lately for a game that, is still another month away at least from coming out. And they still will need to do the dossier for Dreadnoughtus for Extinction. And then developer Q&As, blogs, vlogs, streams, etc. So how they interact with the community. We have intentionally been very quiet the last year as we've worked aggressively on shipping ASA. Once the game is out the door, we intend to do a 180 and will become more directly engaged with the community. We've been reading and monitoring throughout. I think that this is a great idea. There's I find there's been quite a few people getting disgruntled, not saying that I blame them, with all of the changes coming up. So I'm really glad that they're going to be kind of interacting a little bit, giving us a few more details on what's going on with their favorite game. And as always, they closed it off with a community corner. And I'm very excited about this one, community run event. So they're showcasing the Monarchy 4.5, the newest season going on, with a collaboration of over 30 content creators. I am actually one of them. This is my logo down here. It has been a fantastic ride, and I really urge you guys to go check it out. There's a playlist with all of our videos. These content creators have been absolutely amazing. So that is the community crunch, guys. I really need to know your opinions. This was a big one. This was a lot more detailed than we have gotten in a very long time from Wildcard. I want to know your thoughts on the PvE things, the PvP things. Are you disappointed about no gameplay yet? And yeah, this was kind of a sad day losing ARK Survival Evolved. But again, it's bittersweet as ASA is on the horizon. So anyways, guys, this is Mushroom. If you like this video, like and subscribe to join the Mushroom Party, and I'll see you in the next one.